Ask Reddit, what's your favorite oops, I just really fed up moment? I prepaid for gas and never pumped it. I just paid, walked out the door and got in my car and drove off. Buddy in college once pulled $200 and out of an ATM, grabbed his card and left the money. I did this a few years ago. Christmas Eve and my mom sent me out to get the last little bit of money she had from the ATM and to also go pick up a few things. I went to the ATM at the front of the store, made the withdrawal, took the card and just walked away. Luckily I noticed it about 3 minutes later, and as I ran back the person who was at the ATM gave me the money. It was my first day as a help desk technician. I had been asked to change printer toner on the main printer in the company office. I pulled the black toner out and I dropped it. The thing exploded like it was a New Year's fireworks show. All over me, all over the floor, all over the printer. Even 10 years later, I still think they're digging toner out of the cubicle. I looked like one of those cartoon images where Elmer Fudd was given a bomb just before it exploded and then it blew up. Fortunately, my boss was my friend and he laughed his butt off. Photos, email distribution, the works. I made my best effort to clean it up until the facilities guy shoved me aside and said, "Let me do it," with his nuclear-powered backpack vacuum. I'm just glad it wasn't the yellow I dropped. I didn't want to look like I peed my pants all day. I just started a new job as a registered sales assistant at a major firm. All fresh and excited with my new Series 7, I was ready to do trades. My supervisor handed me a client statement and told me to liquidate the holdings. Not noticing some of the holdings were highlighted, I proceeded to liquidate the entire account instead of about 25% of it. Worst part, I didn't realize it until she came over. She could see the trades in real time as I was selling, and asked me what was I doing. I got red, heated and ran to compliance to get it fixed. Our compliance officer told me to dry my tears, take a walk and have a Coke. He called it my rite of passage. Never had another trading error. I get what most of that means, but it sounds stressful. He sold off a client's entire investment portfolio instead of just some of them. So, the firm had to cancel the excess trades, and if that didn't work, buy back the positions likely at a loss. I have investments in 10 stocks. 2 of them start decreasing in value, while the rest rise in value. I tell my money manager to sell the ones that drop value, but he accidentally sold all of them. Depending on how quickly this gets resolved, it might be hardly any trouble at all, or it could be a massive, expensive mistake. I was a brand new, right out of college computer programmer, back before we had software developers. We worked on minicomputers at the time, and I had a long process that I needed to run, which tied up my terminal. I went into the storage closet and dragged out another terminal so that I could do stuff while the process ran, an old version of multitasking. You kids have no idea how easy you have it nowadays. Well, because the new kid had 2 terminals, none of the other programmers wanted to look less productive, so everyone else did that. And a week or so later, the president of the company came back to the programmer area so he could mess around with some new hardware that came in. He looked around and said, "Looks like everybody has 2 terminals now." Being a smarty, I quickly quipped, "Well, we all have 2 hands," which was met with silence. Usually my quips get at least a chuckle. It was then that I remembered that the president of the company did not, in fact, have 2 hands. He had a birth defect, and one did not develop properly. I just kind of died from secondhand embarrassment, you poor soul. I have been in that position before, and there is nothing quite as mortifying as that dawning realization at what you just did. My head is getting hot just thinking about it. Wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's one that haunts me the most. When I was in college, I went to a computer in the school library. They were on these big circular desks with computers all around. It was morning, so I was kind of tired. Some people were on the computers working already. And me being kind of tired still, I sat there, got on a computer, and then I stretched my arms and then stretched my legs out. And unfortunately, the power strip for the computers was near me on my side, and my foot hit the button on the power strip and turned off all the computers on that desk. I don't remember what she looked like, but I still remember the kind of look of quiet anger and frustration of this girl that was working on a paper to suddenly lose all of her work. She just quietly got up and walked away. I would have felt better if she just stood up and punched me in the face. I got a text from one of my higher-ups in the military about needing to change barracks rooms, and he had a bitchy tone. So I immediately screenshotted it and sent it to my GF with the caption, "Look at this bitch," but as soon as I hit send, I saw I sent it back to him instead. The following days were not fun for me. I once got chlamydia and decided to tell my sexual partners from the past 6 months to get tested just to be sure. I opened up Facebook and messaged one I had been with at just about the 6-month mark. After I clicked send, I realized I was logged into a different woman's account that I was seeing at the present time, who had used my computer and forgot to log out. I couldn't help but sit there and shake my head at my mistake. And yes, I had very awkward conversations with both of them after that. I just started a new chefing job at my dream restaurant. I'd been there for a couple weeks and prepping in the back kitchen when I went to put a cutting board back on the rack. I didn't realize it was falling to the side, and it was too late when hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of restaurant white dishware fell, shattering to the ground. Plates, bowls, rankins, trays, you name it. Still can't believe they kept me. Somehow, when I was in high school, the late 90s, everyone who still lived at home at the time had waterbeds, which made moving into a new house a bit of a pain in the butt. I remember getting all of the beds set up and having the garden hose in the last one to fill it up. While this is happening, the van with the rest of the house in it arrived, and everyone goes to start unloading. No one is watching this last waterbed fill. Several hours later over pizza, my sister comes into the kitchen and says that the carpet in the hallway is wet. And we all had a collective, really fricked up moment. The bed had overfilled to the point that the fill nozzle was like 3 feet over the sides of the frame, the mattress was horribly stretched, the hose had detached and was just dumping onto the floor. It took several hours to shop back the water out of the carpet, but we were able to deflate and salvage the mattress at least. Lol, in workshops we have barrels of oil to mix with water to make coolant for the machines. The usual old school setup is a pump nozzle on top of the barrel. You put a couple pumps of oil in a massive container, then stick a hose in to fill the rest with water, but it takes a few minutes, so you usually walk away and do something else. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen blokes run past me when they've suddenly remembered they were filling up, and have seen some hilariously sized coolant floods. Haven't seen the setup in a while, as it's usually automated now, but this just reminded me lol. What was your biggest F up? Feel free to share in the comments below. Please consider subscribing and liking for more daily videos.